linked by a plot have fallen out of favour in recent years, which is a terrible pity, if you ask me.
Yes, story is often a game's weak spot. Here's sitcom scribe Graham Linehan with his view.
What's really fascinating about games is the way that everything is getting better apart from the storytelling. Often when you played one of those coin-op shoot-'em-ups, the game would begin with a scrolling Star Wars-type roller that would say, "It is the year 3005. The Snugsians have invaded Planexta. Your job as a rookie, blah, blah, blah." And you go, oh, come on, you know, and it would finish, and then you go, right, I can play, boom, 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 and you play. That's what games are still like, you know, except the scrolling roller has been replaced by, you know, a lot of cinematic cutscenes. I have a theory about what's happening, which is I think a lot of writers, not only in games but also in films, have stopped reading books. They're just watching films. Vice City to me is a really good example of a game written by someone whose only experience of what they're writing about is through films. Oh, shit. The only thing that will give a game world and a story a bit of texture and depth and a bit of bite, a bit of traction is research. And by research, I don't mean watching Scarface 20 times in a row. In the original Driver game, which I really loved, it had this wonderful thing that Grand Theft Auto just didn't bother having. But it was whenever you saw a pedestrian and you were heading towards them, no matter how fast you were driving, the pedestrian jumped out of the way. And so you not only had this kind of realistic and, you know, non-psychopathic gameplay, but you also had something that really reminded you of things like The French Connection and great kind of cop movies of the 70s. That feeling of people jumping out of the way suddenly made you feel like you were actually in a good film. Whereas Grand Theft Auto makes you feel like you're in a game. I met Gabe, who wrote Left 4 Dead, and he told me that before he wrote Left 4 Dead, you know, he read up on the Spanish influenza. And you can really, really see that in the game, you know? There's nothing about the Spanish influenza in the game, but the feeling of a society that's broken down and the feeling of there being a world beyond the world that we're seeing is really strong. The great thing about Modern Warfare is your relationship with this guy with really cool, the coolest moustache you've ever seen. You know, I mean that in a totally platonic way. But, you know, you care about this moustache, you know, all through the game. That's just a light touch, you know? It's just, you know, you like this guy. This guy is always around. The voice acting is well done. His dialogue is quite believable. It's just the tiniest of things to make you care about a character. And then when he dies at the end, it's really powerful. Call of Juarez is a really good example of a game where you just have no sympathy for the characters. My favorite bit in the game is, and I laughed out loud when it happened, was one of the characters comes into a room and there's a woman, like a farmer. She's wearing one of those bonnets, you know, which you've seen in a million westerns, so you know the type she is. She's one of these women who's going to be like, oh, dear goodness, you know? And the thing the guy says when he comes in is, "Don't move, bitch. Don't you move, bitch." So, what? Why are you talking like that to her? I don't want to play you. You're an idiot.
The main reason games have never achieved mass public acceptance is that the general public continues to believe that most games are aimed at adolescent toss rags, so it doesn't help that some games most definitely are. The most startling recent example being this astonishing cultural artefact, 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, in which the knuckle-headed rapper 50 Cent, or Fiddy as idiots call him, is the hero. It opens with Mr. 50 entertaining the natives of an unnamed Middle Eastern country with a glittering concert where him and his muscly buddies played some records and said some rude words. But oh dear, it turns out the promoter hasn't got the money he owes 50 for the gigs, and a subtle battle of wits soon ensues.
I don't have the money. It was stolen.
What? By who?
Men working for a gangster named Saeed Kamal.
Waste this fucker.
Fortunately, the promoter does have a Damien Hirst-inspired bling-encrusted skull, which he gives 50 by way of payment.
Damn, look at that ice, man.
The skull is priceless. You lucky motherfucker. Okay, let's roll.
You know, surprisingly, this was scripted by Alan Bennett.
Before long, 50 and his friends do indeed roll, but soon they run into a terrifying ambush, during which 50's skull is stolen by a hot Arabic Lara Croft type.
And thus the stage is set and we, the viewer, become the participant as we take on the role of Mr. 50